Welcome back to Sonic and Mario Tidbits. I'm Skull902, and today we're going to look over the show's second season, released between 2009 and 2011, featuring the Jason Sonic storyline. Ooh boy. Let's begin. So this episode was very rushed. It's because of that weird scheduling I talked about in the last video. I wanted to get seasons 1 and 2 out by the end of 2009, and I was really rushing this one, as well as the 5th, because of how long the fight scene was taking and everything. So I was doing frames for both episodes at the same time, which is not something I typically did, and also doing my voiceover and stuff, so I was making these two episodes at the exact same time. Just trying to get them out when I wanted them to come out, and I did it, but barely. Like, I was rendering this episode at like 6 in the morning, and I had to do a little reboot trick to Movie Maker as well because it kept crashing as I was trying to edit the episode, so it was all just like one big mess of me trying to run around and get everything done in time, and again, I did, but just barely.
Attack, my brethren! We shall be instrumental in starting the Season 2 plotline!
We are successful! Those lazy badniks will be punished with doing our chores once we get back!
So the last episode is where it really got started, but this episode is where the subverted fight gag really gets codified. In the form of the splash screens that's, everyone's about to engage in a fight, and then it's like one fight later or whatever, and we cut back to the results. In that one, you can see Sonic is checking up on Amy, and, I've said it before, I'm not really like a shipper type, but I do think these two characters can work, and I put this in there a couple of times actually this season, purely just to see if people would notice. I've done that plenty of times over my sprite animation career, but it's most prevalent in Sonic and Mario Season 2, where you get these teeny little moments, and again, it was really just to see if someone would type in the comments like, ooh, timestamp, Sonic is checking up on Amy here. It was pretty silly.
Ah, yes, Sonic's DNA.
Of course, since I couldn't draw, Sonic's DNA is represented as a stupid giant blue spike, when I really could have just done up like a little tube with some blue in it or something. I think it was originally meant to be a strip, but again, I can't draw worth a shit, so that's what it ended up being. The serial number on Eggman's cloning device is CU 2010 as a small reference to the release date of this episode, New Year's Eve 2009. Just a little something for anyone who would notice. Again, kind of like the Sonic and Amy thing before.
I'm Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog!
Its voice is awful! What the hell? I wanted a perfect clone, not an annoying one.
Some might get the wrong idea about Jason Sonic's presentation here. I didn't actually hate Jason Griffith at the time. Instead, it's more so a parody of the 4Kids voice actor controversy, which had largely died down by the time this episode came out, but I wanted to make fun of criticisms of Jason Sonic's voice acting through the character here. So I don't know if anyone ever really thought that this was me taking pot shots at Jason himself. It's not. It's just a reference to how stupid everyone was being, in the years beforehand about the whole 4Kids voice actor situation. I was also once told by a popular YouTuber before the season came out that the idea was stupid, but Jason Sonic ended up being, for better or worse, one of the most memorable things about the show's earlier episodes, and this person is now threatening their fans for money, so funny how things work out.
Since the computer says it's there, but I don't know if I can trust it since it runs on Windows 2000.
This joke here is a reference to a temporary computer I had earlier in the year. My XP computer got a virus and needed to get fixed, so I was left with this old Windows 2000 computer that, it did fine. I could surprisingly talk on Skype pretty well with it. I recorded my voiceover for episode 1 on it, but it couldn't really do YouTube videos very well, and by the end it suffered from a virus as well because Windows 2000 was notoriously prone to security issues, so yeah, not a whole lot of luck, but by the time that happened, our old computer was basically ready to be shipped back to us, so yeah. Episode 7 is the most viewed episode of the show and was the most popular video on my channel for some time. And I really have no idea how that happened. It was completely random. Because, you'd think that, maybe episode 1 would be it. But, nah. Just this random one. It's just, you wouldn't think that episode 7 of all of them would be the one that YouTube's algorithm liked the most. But that's how it turned out to be. I guess 7 really is a lucky number.
How about we have a party?
What should we celebrate?
KN improvised a couple of her lines here, particularly the one with Tails where he's like, what should we celebrate? It was written a lot worse, which I'm really thankful that I had her on the cast for, to be honest, because there are some lines that I wrote pretty weird. Considering I was still a teenager at the time and getting a little more used to script writing, I hadn't quite found my groove yet, as it were. But she was there to be like, alright, I can say basically the same thing, but in a much more clear and concise way. So KN was just on point with that sort of stuff, and I really appreciate her efforts.
I attended a better party 5 episodes ago.
Enough with the fourth wall already.
A new running gag is established here. Luigi hates fourth wall jokes. He's not an appreciator of that type of humor, which of course is breaking the fourth wall in and of itself. I don't know why I picked Luigi to be the straight man in that sort of situation, but I thought it was funny because, like, I myself incorporate a lot of fourth wall jokes. It was a very popular thing around the time, so I guess, you know, it was a fun idea to have a contrary voice in there saying otherwise.
We trashed your place and broken all of your valuables, because that's what all bullies do at lame parties like this one.
This bit of text was put in there because in instances where there was a long pause in the lines, I would go into Movie Maker and cut them. But the program was giving me a lot of trouble for this one for whatever reason, so I just decided to put the oh no's there in the dead air. And I'm not sure why I didn't just go into Audacity to cut it down like I could have. Like, I was using it to edit back then. I just, for whatever reason, once the line was like properly cut, I would do it in Movie Maker if there was like a problem like this. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's why that's there.
You lost again, idiots! Go home and cut yourselves!
Do we really have to sink as low as stealing jokes from Parody Rangers?
We here at RCA Productions don't actually think Super Frickin' Parody Rangers is bad.
I'm not sure what the deal with this Parody Rangers bit really was, because again, like the joke says, like, I don't hate the series, so it was just kind of weird, and I don't know, Luigi's turning out to be a real prude here, not gonna lie.
Oh, woe is me. My life sucks.
It'll be alright, Sonic.
No, it won't. Oh, woe is me. My life sucks.
It'll be alright, Sonic.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years after this episode came out, I did a remake of it, and the single change was at the end, Sonic just kind of goes from crying to instantaneously happy. And I did it for the stupidest of reasons. It was because of the Nostalgia Critic's review of Digimon the movie, where like something similar happens in the movie and he made fun of the joke. So that's why that exists. It's dumb. I think it's so fucking stupid now, but I did it back then because I guess it was just that much of a Nostalgia Critic fanboy. It's just so ridiculous. It's dumb.
Damn that Shadow. Damn him!
Why? If he hadn't helped out, we'd probably be dead right now.
He stole the badass character from me.
Episode 8 here introduces a small little Knuckles-Shadow rivalry arc. This one was inspired by some comments that my little brother made when we were first getting into Sonic, about how Knuckles was more so treated as the rival to Sonic in the 90s, whereas in the late 2000s when we picked it up, it was Shadow that filled that role, and Knuckles, at least in his mind at the time, was seen as like a more of a comic relief character, which would come true in the coming years, but, not quite accurate, so I just kind of decided to take that perception and put it in the show.
Now get out of here, scum.
Shadow?
Well, it certainly isn't your mother.
Oh God, Shadow's original voice. So what I tried doing when I was first voice acting was making my voices unique. I wanted every one of my voices to, be instantaneously recognizable from each other. And for Shadow, instead of doing like the more whispery Jason Griffith type of Shadow that everyone was doing at the time, I decided to take my Knuckles voice, which was me trying to like go deep with my voice, and then just do it deeper, which like started off not great, but then like eventually I added like kind of this rubbery sort of sound to it, and that just naturally occurred over time. It wasn't intentional, but oh my god, it sounded so fucking bad. It was basically the same voice that I used for Metal Sonic in the show, But with Metal, it had a voice effect over it and stuff. But it was bad. It was really bad, and I realized that by the end of the season, so yeah.
Why would Shadow help?
Did he owe you or something?
No. He just disappeared a couple months ago and we thought we'd never see him again. He did, however, leave a message for me. It read, "Never think I won't return."
Oh my god. Speaking of Shadow and cringe, this fucking note that he left behind, I tried to sound cryptic and mysterious with it, but I really could have written it a lot better. It sounds so dumb now, and, this was my favorite episode at one point, and, like, every time I hear Sonic read off that note, I just think to myself, dear God, I could have done better.
And enjoy the last time you'll hear Skull 902 voice me.
Here I am declaring the end of my tenure as the voice of Knuckles, which would absolutely not happen at all. He was going to be replaced by a voice actor which I will not name, and that voice actor was largely unreliable in my experience, but in hindsight I can say that I'm glad that it didn't work out, and that's all I'm going to say on the matter. I think this was the point where I started my policy on only including the characters that speak in the frame. In previous episodes, I would bunch them all together, and that got to be a pain in the ass after a while, especially when they don't talk, because you only had so many undos in the XP version of Paint. So to include a bunch of characters there that don't talk was needless. So I kept this policy up through basically all of my sprite animation career up to this point. If the character doesn't talk, then for the most part there has been some exceptions, but they usually are not in the frame.
Shut up for a second, okay?
This here is Rabid's debut in the series. He's understudying for Dr. Eggman here, and we'll talk about his microphone quality later, but for now, where did I find him? Well, it's a bit of a weird thing. I became friends with him either in a YouTube chat room, which used to be a thing, in late 07, or on another chat room on a different website in early 08. We had some mutual friends, and eventually we would just talk to each other, on our own from that, and it's lasted this long, almost 20 fucking years. So Rabid is easily one of my biggest homies, and since he was interested in voice acting too, I asked him to fill in for Dr. Eggman here, and he did. His methodology for that was obviously a lot different than it is nowadays, but I appreciate him and his efforts all the same, and I'm glad to have had him around this long.
I want a chocolate bar for Decemberween!
There's a Homestar Runner reference. I was really getting into the series at this time. I had binged all of the Strong Bad emails within a week or something, and I just loved it so much. And I wanted to show my appreciation in an episode of Sonic and Mario, so this was my chance, I suppose. There's Sonic checking up on Amy again. Nobody did ever write in the comments, but I sure as hell wanted to see if they would. So we get another instance of that.
Here it is. Seems as if stuff just gets done within 0.62 seconds, doesn't it? No, not really.
0.62 seconds is the amount of time it takes for the Sonic Advance ring sound effect to finish, and I got very familiar with that number as I was editing the show, so I wanted to do it somewhere as a joke, and I guess this scene transition was a good place to do it, so that's what that's a reference to.
Yo, ugly voice.
Hey! My voice is beautiful! Yeah!
That utterly fucking insane noise that I make as Jason Sonic is a reference to the first episode of Super Freakin' Parody Rangers. So hey, I don't hate it. I was shouting it out right here, and I used to do that all the time as a joke. And if I did that noise nowadays, because I had to rapidly shake my head to do it, I would get a fucking concussion. It's not in me anymore to do that.
Can you actually believe that we made it to 10 episodes? I can't.
The narrator expresses surprise that the series has made it to 10 episodes, and that's largely because all of my efforts beforehand didn't usually get that far. I had one series, and it was god-awful. I'm so glad that it's no longer on the internet, seemingly. One series did, but all of my attempts afterward didn't usually make it, above 6 entries. So I was very happy to have hit that double-digit benchmark with Sonic and Mario, and I wanted to mention it here because, again, my luck was not so great at the time.
Warning, RabidSonicFan wrote this episode, so things might get random in this biznatch.
This and the next two episodes were written by Rabid, whose scripting style is a bit more random and wacky than mine. So I felt the need to put the warning in here because it does get quite stupid, but in a good way. I love stupidity. Rabid loves stupidity. We're just huge fans of it, and Rabid just takes it up to that extra level. The reason why that is because I felt that the season was running short, so I needed something, and Rabid was like, I'll write a couple episodes for you, and I was like, oh, cool. So he turned in the scripts, and I loved the shit out of them, so that's how this whole thing came together. And personally, I think that these still stack up pretty well today, so easily the best episodes of the early series, especially the first two seasons.
Why does he get to look so cool? I'm just a doll!
I ran out of parts, so I had to use one of Robotnik's Beanie Babies.
The Tails doll sprites had, like, pure white for shading as opposed to the off-white that spriters would typically use. So when I would paste it against backgrounds, it would make these, like, holes in him. But I thought that because of this joke about him being like an old abandoned Beanie Baby, that it would be kind of fitting to have him with these holes in there. So if you ever wondered why he looks like that, that's why.
We're all in this together.
So in this little refuge against the Disney Channel that was written in here, I had to learn the chorus for "We're All in This Together" for that joke, and it has not left my brain ever since. Like, I learned it from reading a lyric sheet, and it just hard-coded itself in my brain for whatever reason. I could recite it right now if I wanted to. And I find that kind of weird, but that's what ended up happening, I guess.
Great! Because I invited Miley Cyrus to come here and sing for you as soon as the movie's done!
Ah! No! Ah!
Victory is mine!
I am so ashamed of my complete lack of effort on that scream, especially since it's immediately followed by KN showing me how the fuck it's done, and I have no idea why the hesitance, because I did a scream earlier in the series.
What? Ah!
And that sounded pretty acceptable, but I don't know why I went with the recording at 2 AM trying not to wake people up vibe. I know for a fact that I recorded that scream in the afternoon as well, so it's not like I would have been disturbing anybody. But, again, it's in the episode. I don't know why I thought that it was acceptable, and it's definitely one of my biggest shames of early Sonic and Mario.
And that's where the babies come from.
Wow, I never knew.
Not gonna lie, fam, that might just be the greatest way that a scene is opened in the entire show. Only rivaled by one in Season 4, and we'll get to that. But that's just amazing. I love that conversation between Luigi and Shadow. I wonder what led up to it.
You got the emerald? This is excellent!
Yes, but not for you.
Huh?
Well, hey, on-screen violence for the first time. That's pretty fun. I wasn't animating fight scenes yet, but we did get this without a splash screen, so hey.
You have my Desperate Housewives DVD. I want it back.
But I tried to give that back to you weeks ago. When I told you, you just laughed at me and dumped me into a garbage can.
Oh, really?
Damn it, Shadow!
I drew that trash can that Sonic gets thrown into, and isn't it kinda sad that this is one of the better looking custom sprites of mine?
It's time for the climactic battle, the grand finale, the final... Gee, that ending was really anticlimactic.
The giant rock makes its debut. Written into the show as a joke about the ending being anticlimactic. You know, it's a fun one, I think. I remember KN in the comments said that she liked that joke as well, and Rabid, you know, gave the giant rock a backstory. I think KN was wondering where it came from. So Rabid decided to make it an Iraq war veteran who was coming home when it saw the events occurring and decided to take action. We'll see that giant rock again in the 5th season, although some events in the timeline, I guess, caused it to get discharged early.
Hello? Is anybody there? All I have to eat is rotten pickles and mustard packets. Hello? Hello? Anyone? Please?
So not only is this Kyle Boyle's last appearance as Eggman in the show, but it's also the third different Eggman voice in these 3 episodes. We had Rabbid in episode 11, we had someone who I will not mention in episode 12, and Kyle comes back as the main Eggman voice in 13. So, yeah, 3 different Eggmen, 3 consecutive episodes. But of course, I wasn't the guy who wrote these scripts, Rabbid was, so let's hear what he thinks about this trilogy.
Hey there, Rabbid here. You may recognize me as Dr. Eggman for a good chunk of this series, for better and for worse. I wrote episodes 11 through 13 of this season, because, Skull asked me to. And, I figure, like, yeah, why not? And, as is usual of me, especially from around that time, these episodes are significantly more vulgar and stupid than the rest, to the extent that some of the language had to be toned down. And one joke at the end of episode 11 had to outright be changed. But yeah, it was pretty fun. I had a good time writing those. Kind of my motivation for that arc was that, like, I really liked Metal Sonic, like, at the time. Like, he wasn't as prominent in the Sonic series as he is now. And, I feel like he hadn't done a whole lot in Sonic and Mario either, so I figure, like, give him a starring arc. And, also include the, Sonic RMX, even though Metal Knuckles kinda has the wrong sprite, because he used the one from Sonic Advance. Oops. But yeah, I don't really have too much more to say than that. I think these hold up pretty well for the most part, especially compared to most of the other early episodes. Disney jokes notwithstanding.
You know, I'd usually be saying stuff like that.
I know, but it's just so frustrating.
Don't worry, Espio. We'll probably be the breakout characters.
The Chaotix are all portrayed by CGS-001 as Vector, Beatblocks as Espio, and Sonic Song 182's Ames as Charmy. I found CJ and Beatblocks from playing Vector and Espio on the Sonic Song channel. Ames I met about a year before the Chaotix debuted there, shortly after I became a member of the cast. She and I became friends, and then, with the Chaotix debut, I discovered that she could do the Charmy voice. I liked all of them, and I asked, and they all accepted. An interesting little thing was CJ had me promise to not write Vector swearing, and in everything that he's appeared in since, he has not sworn once, so I've kept my word to him that I would not have Vector say any naughty words. Now, I love the Chaotix, and this trilogy does not advance the plot whatsoever of the season, but I really wanted to put them into something. So that's why these 3 episodes exist, and honestly, I think that they're my strongest work of the first 2 seasons. They're all right, especially in comparison to everything else I was writing at the time. So I apparently really wanted to do the Chaotix well, and by my standards back then, I think I might have succeeded.
Damn, it's the 14th episode in the series celebrated its first anniversary. But yeah, no Chaotix.
Come on, Espio. If Season 2 would have gone the way it was planned, we'd be debuting in the 24th episode instead.
I suppose, but the series wouldn't have been so old.
These jokes here are about my schedule slipping and everything, although it helped the Chaotix debut in an earlier episode. The way that things were going down, Season 1 was going to be so many episodes, Season 2 was going to be so many episodes, but I had to make cuts and, combine episodes together and stuff. So they were actually going to debut in the 24th episode, but due to all those cuts and things, they debuted 10 episodes earlier. So that's what that's a reference to.
Maybe we'll get a spin-off too after Season 5.
SBO is referring to the Team Chaotix spin-off show that never got made. That was my plan. I had announced it by this point, that the writing process for Sonic and Mario was over. I had a finale planned, but afterward I was going to have a 3-season Team Chaotix show, which I would have fucking loved to do, but by the time I canceled that idea, it just wouldn't have been possible, unfortunately, but they were going to have a spin-off after Season 5, like SBO said. Now, I'm not the greatest artist in the world by any stretch, so my sprite backgrounds are terrible and very simplistic to say the least. So I was like, well, how do I communicate that this is the Chaotix place? And so labeling all of their rooms was the solution to that problem, I guess. So that's a little joke that got started here because of my art being so bad. The window in the living room is all fucked up. I mean, come on.
You want to watch super random home videos?
No, SPO, that sucks. All they show us horrible videos and make fun of them.
What about Mosh.5?
That sucks too. The host pretends to know video games, and I think he's seriously got a crush on grass.
This joke is a bit of half and half on what I thought about the shows that I'm parodying here. I actually liked America's Funniest Home Videos, but everything I have Vector say about, Mosh.5 is a reflection of what I thought about Tosh.0 back then. He was doing a lot of puke jokes, and I also saw the show as, this douchebag who thought that he, knew everything about the internet. I don't think that's actually how the show was portrayed, but that's just how I saw it back when I was a teenager, so that's why these jokes are in there.
Looks like an explosion happened.
So, SPO, diagnose us on what happened.
I just said it was an explosion.
Suddenly me as SPO. So, what happened here was that Beatblocks sent in the final 2 lines, but, the files were corrupted or something. The audio was just, a little click. And I asked for retakes on that, or for him to resend the files. And a reply never came. And same for any requests to do future episodes as well, so I was left to be the voice of SPO from his last 2 lines in this episode onward. Episode 15 is the shortest episode in the series. It's about 1 minute and 15 seconds if I remember correctly, and considering that 16 was released on the same day, I should have just fucking combined the 2, but I didn't for some reason, and I'm sure that I could have extended this one if I had really thought about, putting something else in, but nope. So this episode turned out really short, and that's kinda dumb, but 16-year-old me apparently didn't think so.
You 3 are under arrest for pretending to be detectives and questioning a police officer.
I've been asked before why the cops in Sonic and Mario are NES Mega Man sprites recolored, and that was just supposed to demonstrate their stupidity, that they're backwards in terms of the sprite art, being 8-bit as opposed to 16-bit or 32 or whatever the fuck. So that's why the Sonic and Mario police look like that. It's not necessarily supposed to be Mega Man or any Mega Man characters. That's just what I thought that would look the best, was just a recolored 8-bit Mega Man sprite.
No, I'm just saying I forgot our licenses.
A confession? Let's book 'em!
The police chief there was supposed to be voiced by Mike Pollock. I had a voice clip from him back when he would do some things for free as long as they were short. I had that sitting around from a different project for over a year, and I just thought to write it in here. I did ask, though, for permission, because this was a Sonic fan series, so he told me that it probably wouldn't be a good idea to do so, but I've since been fine with talking about it now, because Mike has portrayed Eggman in various different Sonic fan projects after this, so I don't feel too bad about, openly admitting that this was supposed to be the case. So there's the story behind that. The perspective in this jail scene is so fucked up. It's supposed to be inside the cell, but I don't think that I put the bars in the right way to really convey that idea. So it just kind of looks like they're up against a wall. It's so bad. It is so bad.
Hey, are you 2 trying to escape from here?
No, but our friend did.
Gotta love Vector just casually snitching on his friend like that. Just no defense whatsoever. Vector just wants to get those brownie points, I guess, and get out as soon as he can. So, SPO just under the bus with him.
I sentence you until Season 4 premieres.
SPO's sentence refers to the next time the Chaotix were written into any episodes. So, like I mentioned before, I had the entire series written at this point, and I didn't have them in Season 3. They were going to return in Season 4, so that's why that joke is there. So, a little foreshadowing, as it were.
Court is dismissed.
Now, I'm no lawyer or anything, but the judge says dismissed instead of adjourned. I didn't know the proper terminology back then, but if I'm not mistaken, if the judge says that it's dismissed, wouldn't that mean that the charges against Espio would be dropped? So, like, are they holding Espio in jail illegally? Can we get a lawyer in on that? Legal Eagle, hit me up. But I guess if that is the case, it does show how stupid the cops are in Sonic and Mario, so fortuitous unintentional consistency? Episodes 17 and 18 were released on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I love Christmas so much, and I like getting the opportunity to do things like this, so when the episode was coming together and I saw that like the release dates were possible, I was like, okay, Christmas it is. So that was my idea of a little gift for the fans.
Maybe because we haven't been here since then.
Nah. Remember 2001?
Only you went there, and it was for all of about 5 minutes.
This joke sure didn't age well, did it? Green Hill being in Sonic Adventure 2 was a novelty when that game came out. Green Hill being in Generations was a novelty when that game came out a year after this. But man, has it been driven into the ground ever since. It's a dead horse that Sega has gotten better about beating, but not entirely. But if only I had known back then, because things were gonna change, and they were gonna change very fast.
Soon. We all know how bad Tails' time calculation is.
Ooh-wee. So the reason why Sonic sounds a little worse for wear in the last 4 episodes of the season is I was recovering from a cold when I was recording the voiceover for most of the last 4 episodes. I'll get to that exception in just a little bit, but yeah, that's why Sonic sounds so stuffy, and I notice it every time, and it's like I should have waited.
Shiny! Shiny Emerald!
Jason Sonic sounding more aggressive as he starts to, get his own ideas and strike out on his own. It wasn't planned, but it certainly fits, I think, that he's, once he gets more power hungry, he starts to sound a little more vicious and whatnot, so I like that detail.
So, this is what became of the Marble Zone.
I like how I had Sonic say that despite how it looks exactly the same.
Take this piece of 1992 technology!
Eggman bringing back the Death Egg robot here, specifically mentioning it's from 1992. And then later on in the series, in the 3rd season, he treats it as if it's a brand new thing, so when I was writing that episode, I really should have paid attention to what I had written before.
With all 7 Chaos Emeralds, the bad guys pose more than a serious threat. Let us hope that our heroes can retrieve them before it's too late. See what happens on the next Sonic and Mario.
The narrator sounds so serious here at the end, and it's not like situations like this haven't happened before in the show, so why the gravitas, Mr. Narrator?
Well, I hope your logic works, Tails, or else I'll shove a plunge.
Hey! We somehow became above that joke in 14 episodes.
This is a bit of recognition on my part about how the show's tone had been changing, especially since like the Chaotix episodes, and how it would continue in the 3rd season onward. It was starting to get a little lighter. I wanted to start changing things up because of the younger audience that was coming in from the Sonic Song channel, and I planted some seeds here. This little quip from Sonic here being one of them. If there's one thing I loved about doing the frames for this show, it was having the characters just fucking stand on the Chaos Emeralds because they were so huge. I was using the Chaos Emeralds from the Sonic Advance 1 results screen, as opposed to like the actual Chaos Emerald sprites in-game, because those would have been normal sized, but for whatever reason I went with these ones, but it allows the characters to stand on them, which I think is kind of funny.
Firstly, Rouge, that's a bit creepy. Don't do that.
We promise Rouge won't say a thing like that in the rest of our run.
I wanted to have a bit that like properly ended the Rouge hits on people gag, but I probably shouldn't have set it up with like, their canon ages at the time. Rouge was 18, Amy was 12, so I should have thought about that as I was writing the joke. Just a bit of squick that didn't need to be there. Oh boy, there's Sonic checking up on Amy again. I wonder if anyone in the comments will notice, hee hee.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Okay, so this one's really silly, actually. It's a reference to the song "We're in Trouble" by Shampoo. It's very subtle, I think, because they don't say it the same exact way or anything, but it is in fact intentionally a reference to that song, which Rabbit and I just love. Super Jason Sonic probably should have had a different fur color. It's like the exact same as his normal one, except his head spikes are turned up. Kinda lazy on my part. Especially considering that Supersonic sprite, the gold buckles on his shoes are the exact same color as like his fur. So it ended up fucking up his shoes as well. So really lazy. I should have thought about that. It would have been a really easy fix too. So don't know why I didn't think of that, but I guess laziness wins in Sonic and Mario. So yeah.
Yeah, what are you, Wacko? No, I'm Wacko. That's in Rouge the Bat, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Columbus is the capital of Ohio. You get out of here!
This random-ass Freakazoid reference was because not only did I like the scene in the original cartoon where, Wacko and Brain and Freakazoid are all arguing over who Steven Spielberg likes the best, but I was also huge into Animaniacs at the time, and I wanted to show some love for that, as well as my Wacko impression, which I thought was decent. So there you go, no other rhyme or reason.
Alright then, let's start the ceremony. The servers are the 7 Chaos.
Oh my god, the Echidna incantation. So not only was this reference inaccurate, but also cringe. So, like, it was supposed to be a reference to the ending of Sonic Adventure 2, but there, like, Knuckles is trying to stop the power of the Chaos Emeralds, not allow Sonic and Shadow to be super. It's very clearly not required to use the super transformation, so I don't know why it's there in the first place. And then, like, how the fuck do Mario and Luigi know about it? Like, did Sonic or Knuckles or someone else just tell them about it off screen at some point? Like, it's so dumb. It is so dumb. Something introduced here is that when Mario and Luigi use the Chaos Emeralds to activate their superpowers, they're in their Fire Flower forms. And I never explicitly said this in the show, but I think the idea behind that is that they either had Fire Flowers on them, or they had most recently used Fire Flowers before transporting over to Sonic's world. That's the idea that I had behind that, but again, I probably should have put it in the series somewhere, or explained it earlier, but that's my thought process for that.
You know, I think that the music that's playing in the background right now might have been used for a fight scene.
That music I'm referring to is Simple Sight by Real Faction. It was a song used in Castle Crashers that my little brother introduced me to, and it's such a badass song. Apparently a lot of people were going around using this one without credit, and it's a cool song, but you really should be giving credit, and I would often see the creator actually go around in comment sections and be like, hey, I made this song, please check out my Newgrounds, so I actually feel really bad for them in that respect. But it is an awesome song. I gave it credit in the description, and so, yeah, just wanted to give it a shout out here.
Take this, you poser!
This is the exception I was talking about when it comes to Sonic sounding really stuffy in the last 4 episodes of this season. I recorded this one months before, so like in the summer of 2010, I was recording for Silver's Never-Ending Story, and I was just in the zone that day. I have never felt like such a positive, good vibe voice acting before or since. It was a very special night, apparently, for my pipes. So I did that, and then I was like, you know what? I'm so into this right now. I have to. So I thought of a pre-ass-kicking one-liner for Sonic to say, and it was the very first line from this episode that I wrote. I recorded it, and I saved it for when I would record the rest. It's just, unfortunately, when I did record the rest, I was stuffy, and Sonic's voice suffered for it.
No! Tell my mommy I love her!
Apparently he loves you. Oh, shut up!
This joke, I think, still stands up alright. It's pretty fun. And there we have it. Started off just as cringe as Season 1, but the seeds of improvement and change started to get planted in the second half. I'll see you when we have a look at how that growth continued in Season 3 on Sonic and Mario Tidbits. Until next time.